Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. I am Martina Lily and today we are going to do another this versus that. So this is essentially where I take popular luxury makeup products that are kind of same but different, and I put one of them on one half, the other on the other half of the face, and I kind of tell you the differences and why you may like one versus the other, or if I like one distinctly more than the other. So this versus that, you get it. Anyway, hopefully that sounds interesting to you guys. If it does, go ahead and do the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let's get into it. You guys are zoomed in nice and close, 4K no filters. Everything I use on my face today will be linked in the description box down below. They are affiliate links though, so if you shop through them, thank you so much, I appreciate it. Okay, first up, we are going to put the new Christian Dior stick foundation against the Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte foundation stick. I've had a lot of questions about these two and how they compare to each other, so I thought we'd do half and half. And then I'm also just gonna, at the end, just quickly tell you the difference between the Ilia and the Dior as well, in case you're interested. So I have the shade 1N in Dior, and I have the shade 1.5 cream in the Tom Ford, and I think they're gonna be an okay shade match. I'm gonna insert the swatches of the foundation here for you. There will be the Ilia on that swatch comparison, as well as my Hourglass foundation stick as well. So let's dive into the swatches. We are going to start with the Dior on this side of my face, and then I'm going to do Tom Ford on this side of my face. And I just like to draw this on. And if you have kind of seen any of my videos lately, by the way, I like to blend out my stick foundations with my BK105 because it's nice and big and it just does a really quick and easy and flawless, wonderful job. As I was saying, if you've seen any of my videos recently since I got this Dior stick foundation, I'm obsessed. I really love the Dior stick foundation. It is absolutely beautiful. It really is blurring and smoothing. It really is hydrating, but not hydrating in a way where it creates makes my skin oily. It's really long wearing. It wears beautifully. It wears very naturally. It doesn't settle in fine lines, and it just, I don't know, it just wears very like your skin but better, but is still perfecting at the same time. Depending on how much you put on is going to depend on how natural it looks in terms of like your skin but better, right? If you put a very light coverage layer on, or even just like spot conceal with it, it's going to look really natural. And if you want to build it up to a medium full coverage, it's going to look still natural, but like you are wearing foundation, right? Like you're going to be able to be like, okay, she's wearing makeup, but it looks flawless, you know, at least in my opinion. So this is the Dior. I've actually been so wonderfully surprised and in love with this stick foundation. As you know, if you've been watching me, it's just wowing. It really is. Like, look how healthy my skin looks, but perfected. Like I said, still natural, and it just wears so well. This has honestly become my current favorite foundation in my collection. Like, it's really impressed me, which for me is a big deal because I have never had a Dior foundation that I've liked yet. So I'm very impressed. Now let's do the Tom Ford Traceless. This might be a touch darker, but we can make it work. Now, one of the things that I find with the Tom Ford foundation is it's still beautiful, but it's definitely not as smoothing as the Dior and perfecting. And I also find with the Tom Ford that less is more in terms of if you build this up too much over the face, it can definitely look cakey if you're not careful, whereas I haven't really found that with the Dior at all. I also find that the Dior as well just has, just from even the one layer, a much nicer level of coverage, at least for me. I guess if you're looking for a more sheerer coverage, then the Tom Ford's going to be better. I think you can just easily tell the difference between coverage levels between the two. They do have that same kind of finish, like I feel like you can kind of see the glow on both sides, but I don't find the Tom Ford to be as perfecting as and smoothing as the Dior. And like I said, for the Tom Ford one to really shine, for me at least, I find just a very thin light coverage layer. and then that's when it kind of wears nicely. However, I personally do find that the Dior, no matter what level of coverage I build it up to be, just wears so much better, a lot longer, settles less in lines, like my smile lines and stuff. I think you can even tell it's starting, the Tom Ford's starting to settle here, whereas like this side hasn't got any. This side's more blurring, and it just wears overall so much better and longer than the Tom Ford, which is saying something because I really do enjoy the Tom Ford stick foundation. I think it's a really great product, but the Dior just honestly has like superseded it. Like it's just blown the Tom Ford out of the water, if you will. Like the Dior one is really, really impeccable. It truly is. In terms of a shade match though, they're not doing too bad. I'm just going to build up just a little bit on this outer bit here just to make it match a little bit more. So this side is the Dior and this side is the Tom Ford. What do you think? For me, the Dior is a very clear winner, but maybe you might like a more sheer coverage, in which case maybe the Tom Ford is for you. Now, just to throw in the Ilia and kind of how the Ilia compares to these two, the Ilia reminds me pretty much of the Dior foundation stick. However, it's more matte. So if you have oily skin and this is going to be too hydrating for you, you want to check out the Ilia, because the Ilia, I absolutely love and adore this foundation stick as well. But the Ilia compared to the Dior and even the Tom Ford is a lot more of a drier type product, and not in a bad way, but let me show you. So this is the Dior and this is the Ilia. I don't even know if it's going to show like just on screen how this one is still lovely, and it's not stripping, but it's just, yeah, it's just a little bit more matte on the skin. Not in an excessive way, but still when compared to the Dior, it is a lot more matte. So like I said, if you have really oily skin, you might want to look at this one. If you have dry skin, you'll just want to extra hydrate. Or if you have dry skin, I'd probably just say go with the Dior. I honestly love both of these in terms of they both are very blurring. They both have wonderful coverage levels that you can build up or sheer out, and they don't get cakey on the skin. They both wear a really long time. They both wear flawlessly, in my opinion, very naturally. They don't settle in fine lines. Like these two are holy grails for me, especially even over the Tom Ford. I don't know if I mentioned as well, sorry, I used the new Refy face primer, the Blur and Hydrate primer from Refy. I'm just testing this currently, so that was on my whole face as well. I'm just going to quickly go and put concealer on, and then our next this versus that is cream contour. Concealer's all on. I used the Dominique Cosmetics and the Urban Decay Quickie mixed together, if you're wondering. Now we are going to compare the new Dior cream contour stick versus the Westman Atelier contour stick. So I have the shade Light in the Dior and I have the shade Biscuit in Westman Atelier. And this is another one that I've been getting questions about and comparison questions. So this one right here is the Dior and this one right here is the Westman Atelier. So in terms of shades, the Dior is slightly more of a grey cool tone, Dior Westman, and the Westman is, I guess, slightly deeper. And I want to say ever so softly warm, but I think it's just a deeper shade, if you will. I'm going to put Dior on this side and Westman on this side. You only need a small amount of the Dior, and I always put too much on, honestly, so I've still put too much on. I'm going to use my Sonia G to blend out the Dior side as well. And again, ranting and raving about how amazing this contour stick is from Dior. It just blends so easily and beautifully and wears so lovely. Quite a similar formula to the foundation, to be honest, and I really love the shade for my skin tone. Definitely put just a touch too much on, but you get the effect there. Just absolutely stunning. Now let's take the Westman on this side. It's not as emollient the Westman, and I feel like you can even just see that from applying it. I'm going to blend this out with my Rainbow S23. Still very easy and fuss-free to blend out, but the Westman stick, sorry, has kaolin clay in it. Kaolin clay, I think is how you pronounce it. I probably butchered that. So it does mean that it's going to soak up more oils on the skin with that particular product on it. So whereas the Dior does kind of emphasize its like longer lasting hydration, the Westman Atelier one is more about, I guess, keeping those oils at bay with that particular product in it. But it doesn't impact the blendability of the product. I mean, I think you could tell like both products blend so flawlessly. So this side is the Westman, this side is the Dior. I don't know, what do you guys prefer? I mean, keep in mind, I've definitely brought this one down a little bit too low because I put too much on. That's a me problem. I'm not a makeup artist, just a makeup lover. This is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. For me, I'm hard pressed to find anything that beats the Dior, to be honest. The Dior is, these products are exceptional from them. I don't know what it is, but they're exceptional, truly. Again, if you have oily skin, like really oily skin, you might find the Westman Atelier contour stick is just a better option for you in terms of the ingredients. They're both wonderful. If you picked either or, I don't think you can go wrong. They are both absolutely beautiful. They're both very beginner friendly because they're so easily blended. Like you saw, I put way too much of this on this half of my face and it still blended out so beautifully. So either way, you're getting an impeccable formula. I just personally love the shade and tone of this one more. I love the finish of this one more. And I don't know, I just love everything about this one a little bit more than this one, but they are both flawless. I'm now gonna go and powder my face and I'm going to do my brows, and then we will come back and we're going to compare two bronzers against each other. So for bronzer, we are going to put the Lancôme Teint Idole bronzer against the YSL All Hours bronzer, because these two bronzers are exceptional for one. And prior to trying the Lancôme, the YSL, spoiler alert, was my favorite. But if you've been around my channel for a hot minute, you know that I, again, can't stop raving about the Lancôme one. They're both very similar products. So I have the shade Light, True Light, in the Lancôme, sorry, and the shade 1, I believe it is, in the YSL. So let me give you a quick swatchy swatch. So you might not be able to see the YSL too well. So this is the YSL, this is the Lancôme. The YSL is definitely a very light shade, but actually looks quite lovely on the skin. So I'm going to put Lancôme on this side and YSL on this side. The shades are going to look different because the Lancôme is definitely a lot more pigmented and deeper than the YSL. So I'm going to use an MY22 for the Lancôme. And I mean, gosh, I can't say enough good things about this Lancôme bronzer. Look at it. It is so natural, so smoothing, blurring on the skin, like undetectable. Doesn't matter what your experience of makeup is, it looks phenomenal. And then for the YSL side, I'm going to take it on a BK107, and I do tend to need to build up this side more than the Lancôme just because this one is a lighter bronzer, but it goes on honestly deeper than you would expect. This one, if you just are someone that is uber pale or really is quite pale on my skin tone and just wants the most subtle of subtle bronzers, then this is probably the one that you want to go for, just because it is such a light shade. It's much lighter than the Lancôme one, and it really is a very natural, undetectable, subtle bronze to the skin, and still, like, I think you can just see, still very blurring and soft and natural on the skin. Lancôme, YSL. Look, another product that regardless of which one you pick, I don't think you'll regret it. They are both really high quality, like chef's kiss products, but this Lancôme one is a whole other level of incredible to me. It's just, it's one of those kind of products I think that you need to use to almost experience just how perfecting and perfect of a product it is. But again, you will feel that way. If you've never tried the Lancome and you pick this one up, you will feel that way probably about this one as well, because that's exactly how I felt about this one until I tried the Lancome. This is also absolutely stunning. So, you know, it just depends. Like, honestly, whichever one tickles your pickle, go for it. Personally, I really like them both. I really do. For highlight and blush, I am going to compare one of the new Chanel blush and highlight duos. This is their new summer collection, with the new Dior blush and highlight duo. So I have Dioriveira in the Dior, and then this is actually just called Peach and Gold, I think. Golden, yep, Golden Peach. There you go, originally in the Chanel. I actually have dedicated reviews of both of these products on the channel as well, if you're interested in seeing them. So I'm not going to put any liquid highlight or blush on so that you can see these products just compared to each other. For the highlight on this side, I'm going to take a little tapered Flower Beauty brush and just softly pretty. And then for the Dior highlight on this side, I've got like essentially the same kind of a brush, but this one's from BH Cosmetics. Chanel, Dior. If you've seen my reviews, you know which one I prefer. I really, truly much prefer the Chanel one than the Dior one. The Dior one has a much chunkier glitter to it than the Chanel. They're not chunky like when you think of like chunky glitter flecks. They're still like micro flecks, but the Dior micro flecks are a lot larger and more noticeable than the Chanel ones. The Chanel ones are so subtle, and as soon as I set my face with my setting spray, they just melt in and I don't notice them at all, whereas the Dior ones really stick around, and I don't personally like that. I don't like a fleck like that through my highlighter. It just emphasizes texture, and it's just not my preference. So this is where it's going to be like, if you do like that glitter speck, that's going to be for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to love that, but it's not for me. I just find the Chanel is a lot more natural on the skin, and I love how subtle and like, I don't know. I think the Chanel just looks more natural lit from within glow than the Dior personally. I've just got two rougher fives for the blush. So let's take the peach blush on this side from Chanel. Ugh, I do love this Chanel little duo. Now I can keep building that up to be more intense if I wish, but I'm going to stop there for now. Different rougher five, and we'll go into the blush from the Dior. Chanel side, Dior side. What do you think? Look, I prefer the Chanel one. I really, really do. I think the Chanel formula is superior to the Dior's personally. The highlight I've already explained. The blush I find I've got to like kind of almost scrape the top layer off this blush to really get any pigment out. And I find this blush fades really quickly. Whereas I find this one is just really beautifully buildable and easy to apply, easy to grab the pigment off, very long wearing, beautiful shade. The only thing I will say, I much prefer the size of this Dior one than the Chanel one, because it's a lot easier to just grab the product out of that than this, but I much prefer the Chanel product personally. Again, if you have a differing opinion to me, that's totally okay. We're all different. This is just my 2 little cents. But yeah, I personally feel the Chanel is the clear winner here. All right, that's all out of this or that products. Let me go and finish the look and we will come back and wrap this up. All right, my friends, this is the finished look. What do you guys think? So we have the Dior foundation stick side, Chanel side, Lancome side versus the YSL Tom Ford. What else did we use? Dior side. Oh, I should have put the Dior on this side so it was almost all Dior. Anyway, what do you guys think? Hopefully that was helpful in some way, shape or form and helps you if you are comparing any of those products against each other. Just remember, all my own opinion. You may feel differently. Check out other reviews, that kind of a thing, because we're all very different and unique to each other. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. If you made it this far, you know you're an absolute legend. Thank you so, so much. I truly, truly appreciate you. Extra special shout out to my Lily absolute legends and all of my members. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I hope you have the most amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Bye!